Hello all and welcome back. I hope you're all doing really well. Thank you again for the love and support on the most recent video. I seriously appreciate it. Words cannot describe. If you aren't subscribed though, and you aren't following me on Twitter, please consider doing so, as there is plenty more content coming my way, potentially some future giveaways as well, particularly as the Hedera ecosystem continues to ramp up throughout this hot summer of DeFi that is clearly taking place within the ecosystem. It is fantastic to be a part of it, and hopefully a lot of you guys are getting involved and getting excited about the future of Hedera, particularly as a mainstay layer one, either in the retail space but also in the enterprise space as those use cases begin to roll out and go live. Ethereum is up 13% in the last 24 hours as the merge event nears closer. Not just that, we've seen a lot of projects over the last 24 hours perform very well, and majority of that is coming up from the consumer performance for June. So the DAO as well has opened up 400 points higher as stocks are looking to snap a 5-day losing streak. This would be very good if it can snap it by close of play today, Friday, as we will see potentially a stronger weekend for crypto, which is not something we've seen for a little while. So stocks have opened higher on Friday following 5 days of losses, as investors have found solace in stronger than expected June retail sales, along with decidedly mixed batch of bank earnings. So what's driving it is the US retail sales have risen 1%, which is a slightly stronger number than economists had expected, although some of the increase was tied to higher prices of gasoline and food. Yet markets have celebrated the fact that now, for at least, the all-important consumer hasn't succumbed to the surge in prices. This just goes to show majority of the economy is still functioning and there isn't a contraction so much. So a lot of economists will be looking at this statistic, because if you're seeing the consumer sales, the retail sales begin to decline, that's obviously an indicator that GDP is going to be receding as well, and then that fuels fears of a recession. This is not to say that the fears of a recession are gone yet, and of course we are waiting for more Fed meetings to talk about interest rates. For example, 1% is now supposedly on the cards for the next hike, and that's probably being priced into those markets at the moment. If I flick across though, and we do look across the wider market for cryptocurrencies, we can see that majority, actually all the projects listed on here pretty much are green across the board. Obviously, I've been buying up a lot of Hbar and Chainlink, as I mentioned, and the other one I've been buying a lot of, which I've probably said, for the last couple of weeks, has actually been Quant, and over the last week it has done 62%. So if any of you did pick up some Quant at those low prices, that $50 range, we are now trading at $110 range, and you've probably seen somewhere around a 50% increase from when I first said I was beginning to buy Quant personally. I may take a little bit of profit off the table for this. However, Quant is one of my long-term plays alongside projects like Hedera and Chainlink, for example. At these ranges as well, I'm still looking to pick up some more XLM. Still contemplating whether to pick up XRP. Shared my thoughts and feelings in previous videos. However, with the SEC ongoing battle, I've been an XRP holder since 2017, and it's not really done much for me at the moment. And I don't know how much it's going to do for me in the future until that case is actually resolved. I think my capital is better spent elsewhere, building positions in the likes of Hedera, particularly from what we're seeing recently. To talk about why Quant has done really well, there's a great summary tweet here from Mason. So Quant spearheaded the blockchain ISO standard TC307, adopted by 57 countries and organizations worldwide, solved the interoperability with the creation of one of the world's first blockchain agnostic API gateways, the Overledger. So just talking about the Overledger in general and why Quant performs so well and is being integrated into so many different projects. And of course, it has very strong fundamentals and tokenomics that could push that price even higher into the future. And it's one of the reasons I love it as an interoperability project alongside Chainlink. Something that I will continue to pick up. Talking about Bitcoin at the moment, some analysts are still calling though that Bitcoin hasn't bottomed yet. $17,500 wasn't the lowest it will go, and they are calling to say that it's possible for future downside momentum. So around $14,000 is a possibility that we've been watching for 10 months now. Bitcoin will not hit that $14,000 mark unless we lose 19.5K as support again. 19.5K is holding really well so far. The bottom is likely in or very close to being in, but most will miss the bottom while waiting for lower prices. And this is something that I iterate a hell of a lot. my strategy, full transparency across pretty much every piece of content that I've made. I just dollar cost average into these positions. I'm not trying to time the bottom, time the high, whatever it may be. I'm in this for the long term. And I have a sort of macro outlook across these different projects in terms of where I put my capital. I'm not trying to swing trade weird positions, ups and downs, lefts and rights, for example. I'm here to invest in these projects for the potential that they really do have, particularly these utility-based projects. That's where a lot of my fundamentals reside and sort of coalesce with what's happening with the projects I've mentioned previously. Just in as well, according to Ripple, 75% or 76% of financial institutions expect to use crypto in the next 3 years. Hence why I said as well, XLM or Stellar Lumens as a payment facilitator as well is a really big player in the space alongside XRP. Two fantastic projects with great fundamentals. Again, something that I've covered many, many times on the channel. Been holding both of those for a very long time, both of them since 2017. And I will continue to buy more, particularly of XLM tokens. Talking about 76% of financial institutions, I'd probably go out on a whim and say, 75% of institutions, regardless of the sector they reside in, will probably be utilizing crypto in the next 3 years in some shape or form, whether directly themselves or through a third-party service provider that they use as a supplier for their native solutions. We're going to see this space continue to expand over time just because of how powerful the technology itself is. And, not to mention things like scalability and the rest of it. Great website here that I'm actually going to leave linked down in the description. I think it's fairly new. It's something that I've only recently come across. It was getting a little bit of attention over on Twitter. It's called Metrica, and we can actually look at the network overview for Hedera. There's Algorand there and some other chains. But it's really good to give a breakdown of what's happened over the last set time range. You've got hourly, daily, weekly, and monthly. So if we look at the daily overview, we can see that we've had a bit of an uptick in transactions. 860,000 transactions sort of processed. I believe that must be on the daily. If I flick over to weekly, yeah, so 860,000 transactions on the daily process. That was an average TPS of just under 10 with a max TPS of 100. And what's also nice is it breaks down the different services those transactions are falling under. So we can see there the consensus service making up 11%, the consensus service making up 11%, the token service 0.1% here, for example, where I'm hovered, and then other sort of different transactions for token create and stuff. We can see our average time, consensus time is still below 4.5 seconds. So that means transactions are being processed by all those nodes in under 4.5 seconds. The maximum time where we've seen a couple of these spikes for some of the nodes is around 27 seconds, although they are very few and far between. We can see that only lasted for a very short period of time. In accounts as well, we can see the number of accounts that have been created and growing over the period of time. And then also some of you may like these statistics for the consensus summary. So this number of submitted messages, the fungible token summary. So we can see these tokens that are processing the large majority of transactions, obviously Dovu being one of them. And that is from their staking mechanism, which is dropping tokens to people's wallets every sort of 12 minutes or so. Covered that in plenty of different videos. So they're doing around 12,000 or 11,500 transactions a day. We can see Source there as well, doing 1,500 on the mainnet. Not to mention probably what they're doing on the testnet. We've got Hbar, Toko, Seeky, Jam, plenty of other projects I've covered on the channel. And then if we look at non-fungible tokens or NFTs, we can also see the number of transactions for particular NFT projects on Hedera. And this is a way you guys can gauge which ones are changing hands very rapidly or growing, as well as smart contract summary. Really, really cool website, obviously in partnership down here in the bottom left with the Hbar Foundation. And this is something that I'll probably feature a few more times in the future, particularly as we see more and more growth happening on Hedera. Now, many of you probably have seen my tweet. If you do follow me on Twitter, I also dropped a community post on this YouTube channel. You may have also seen some of the other very large content creators in the space. For example, the Hbar Bull. We've had Coinman. I know Matt Chase as well has retweeted some of this. Plenty of others in the space that have been talking about it, and it's because it's a community 200,000 source token giveaway. So 2 winners will win 100,000 source each, chosen at random for Hedera's pioneering DEX. And entry is really simple. You come over to this tweet over on my Twitter account. Make sure you're following Source Swap Labs. You don't have to be following me. to enter this competition. Like, retweet, and tag 3 friends on this main tweet, and make sure you're also a part of their Discord server, which is discord.gg/SaucerSwap. This contest ends on the 21st of July, where those winners will be picked. Just to bear in mind, the sort of 200,000 source is somewhere in the region of $3,000 to sort of $6,000. So this is probably the biggest giveaway on Hedera to date. It's absolutely massive. And this is probably quite life-changing for a lot of people. Obviously, like I said, this is being supported by the community. This has got very little to do with me. Effectively, the prize pool has been built up from many different community members because they want to help support the launch of SaucerSwap and obviously get that name out there. I'm just one of the faces that are helping to promote this giveaway because it is such a great opportunity for someone to win this. And as I mentioned as well, the Hbar Bull did a fantastic interview with the SaucerSwap Labs team ahead of the the launch potentially happening within the next couple of days or weeks. Still waiting for an announcement, but a great interview nonetheless, and I urge you guys to check that out as well. Make sure you get entered into that though, because it is a serious amount of source. Crypto lender Celsius has finally filed for bankruptcy in New York. I don't think that comes as a surprise to many people, but that Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing in the federal court in New York comes roughly a month after it froze customer assets. So the court filing listed between $1 billion and $10 billion in assets, the same amount in liabilities, and more than 100,000 creditors are going to be hurt very badly by this liquidation, this bankruptcy filing that they are doing. Celsius said its filing would be an opportunity to stabilize its business and undergo a restructuring that maximizes value for all stakeholders. Today's filing follows the difficult but necessary decision by Celsius that last month to pause withdrawals, swaps, and transfers on its platform in order to stabilize business and protect its customers, a special committee of Celsius board of directors said in a press release. So unfortunately, it speaks to reason. No one's going to know what's going to happen to those 100,000 different creditors. Hopefully some of them will get some of their money back as the bankruptcy process takes place. However, I guess this is a lesson learned again for the crypto sort of space in general, to be very careful about the protocols and tools and dApps and whatever it may be of where people are holding their funds. Ensure you're safe. Make sure you're not locked up into weird platforms that are too good to be true. Really sad sort of story for that across the board, as I know many people have lost a hell of a lot of money via projects like that. And obviously we had Luna beforehand, as well as many others across the space. Hedera, again, another use case, Snapchat in a roundabout way. So Snapchat has acquired Pop Wallet and was in the process of integrating the Universal Digital Coupon AI 81112, the coupon bureau Hedera. That's obviously a use case that's going to be going live in July this year. So within the next couple of weeks, we'll be seeing that drop live. Obviously, massive partners like Walmart and Family Dollar Tree stores. The technology that Pop Wallet had developed into Snap's soon-to-be launched promotions platform. The launch of Snap's promotion platform has been confirmed and is at the end of this year in 2022/early next year, so like January, February of 2023. So really bullish stuff. This is obviously a massive tech company that will be leveraging Hedera indirectly for their services. If we look at Pop Wallet as well, what they sort of aiming to do, which Snapchat have just acquired, and I sort of scroll down, we can see the ready to pop sort of stuff. So pop deals, promote your deal in store or online with coupons and rebates. Obviously, this will be one of the main functions of where the Coupon Bureau and Hedera comes into this. You've got Pop Loyalty, building relationships, Pop Gifts, or reward your customers again with gift cards of any value and potentially sort of other types of coupons again. Pop Access and Pop Brand. So an interesting integration nonetheless, and one again, a big player that will be utilizing Hedera either directly or indirectly, depending on how it gets fleshed out by the end of the year. Things are going really well for Hedera at the moment. Not only that as well, there's another sort of big announcement, I guess, big integration, big use case. On-chain carbon solutions provider 𝗟𝗘𝗙𝗘𝗥𝗥𝗔𝗟𝗦 onboards solar power leader onto Carbon Core platform. So 𝗟𝗟𝗙𝗘𝗙𝗥𝗥𝗔𝗟𝗦, a global technology company automating carbon offset creation and distribution. Again, this is a narrative I've spoken a lot about for Hedera being one of its mainstay sort of use cases, particularly going into the future. Carbon offset creation, things that Dovu are doing in a decentralized manner. Many companies will be getting on board with this in a very centralized manner and leveraging a chain like Hedera, which is carbon neutral / negative, is a really great way to go about this. Anyway, they announced that Amana Solar has selected 𝗟𝗏𝗡𝗡, a solution already running on the carbon negative Hedera network that aims to make carbon trading markets more reliable, efficient, and inclusive. So 𝗟𝗏𝗡𝗡 stores, tracks, and distributes carbon credits and acts as an end-to-end carbon offset marketplace where industrial supply and demand can meet. The application can be integrated with existing platforms to allow carbon emitters to easily purchase carbon offsets and enables environmental projects to provide carbon credits to the market through a streamlined tokenization and minting process. So Amana Solar, a global leader in the installation of rooftop solar panels, will be working with 𝗟𝗡𝗙𝗡 and 𝗟𝗏𝗡𝗡, which is obviously built on top of Hedera, to develop advanced, highly granular, renewable energy credits, or RECs, enabling the efficient tracking and offsetting of carbon emissions. Their critical strategic goal for the partnership is to utilize the 𝗟𝗏𝗡𝗡 market to issue their own renewable energy certificates. So again, another massive ESG/REC use case for Hedera, leveraging that Hashgraph consensus service, which is obviously carbon neutral/negative. Another day, another yield farm available at launch over on SourceSwap Labs. Of course, talking about ESGs and carbon credits, we've got Dovu official/Hbar yield farm pair will be available at launch on SourceSwap. So you'll be able to provide liquidity for those, stake those LP tokens, and earn some additional yield from that pairing. Check out my other videos on the channel about Dovu if you're not too sure what they're about. Fantastic project with a seriously, genius development team behind it. And everything they do is incredibly seamless and sort of revolutionary/pioneering themselves, which goes hand in hand with what SourceSwap have been doing to build their decks. Seriously great to see. NFTs. Wanted to round the video up with NFTs. NFTs are still exploding on Hedera. Now, I know some of you are all game for NFTs and really enjoy them and see them as a fundamental part of any sort of cryptocurrency, particularly layer 1 projects development. Some of you may be completely impartial to NFTs. What I must say is at the moment, NFTs in their current form, of course, things like JPEGs and stuff, are very speculatory by nature. And that's kind of where a lot of this demand is coming from. However, this builds or helps build the fundamentals for the future of NFTs on these chains, which is the ability to tokenize real world assets as an NFT and then have those on a secondary marketplace with very little friction, very little fees, and high processing throughput. The classic example that I give is think of title deeds to houses. You could have a housing market all set up as NFTs where buyers and sellers can come together in a very frictionless way in order to sell real estate across different markets. This at the moment is obviously in its infancy. However, Hedera is obviously going through leaps and bounds of fleshing out this, particularly with their more advanced metadata. A project I'll be covering in a minute is taking advantage of that. There's a lot going on. However, 𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗡 again have smashed another record. 24,000 Hbar is now the floor price for a 𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗡 Ghost Club, and just shy of 27,000 Hbar for a 𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗡𝗡 Ghost Pass. They're not the only collection that's doing really well at the moment. You've obviously got the Creamies collection as well, with a floor price of 6,350 Hbar. The creator of that is obviously very well integrated into the Hedera ecosystem. Really cool dude that is doing a lot of great work as well to try and spread the word for Hedera, as many of these other projects are doing. Not only this, NFTs are functioning as a great way at the moment in order to draw attention from existing layer 1 solutions like Ethereum and like Solana with those developed markets and draw that capital across to Hedera. So whether you like them or not, NFTs are helping to grow Hedera at the moment. Talking about those though, I wanted to quickly cover VHS Tapes. So these guys are building an audio-visual NFT collection on the Hedera blockchain, with each NFT representing not only an image, but an audio file via metadata dedicated to the past from the 1980s era. And these guys that have created this are also the founders of 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗘𝗥𝗥𝗔𝗟𝗦, which is the 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗘𝗙𝗥𝗥𝗔𝗟𝗦 prison gang, which were quite a successful NFT project, I believe, right at the beginning of sort of Hedera coming online type of deal. At the moment, the mint is live. It's via a Discord bot, so you need to join that Discord server where you can then take place in the minting process. I believe the mint price is 799 Hbar to mint one of these tapes, and then obviously you get access to not only the NFT but the audio section that accompanies each of those NFTs as well. Now, this is obviously appears to be quite a small project at the moment and it's very early. They do also have a white paper that you guys can read where they'll be building some other tools in the future, like marketplaces and future utility for these VHS tapes. If I quickly flick across it as well, Hash Players New City, which was a game that the Hedera GameFi project that I covered a couple of videos back now, have also said as well, in August, holders of those Hbar Tapes NFTs will be receiving an airdrop of resources like bricks and glass, NFTs which are needed to construct buildings in the Hash Players New City. So if you pick up some of those Hbar Tapes, you then get access to this airdrop from Hash Players in August, where you will basically receive additional NFTs for holding those. Not only that, 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦 as well will be randomly distributing 36 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦 NFTs to some of the VHS holders after the mint. So 1% of the 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦 supply will be going to Hbar Tapes holders on that Friday. So that may have already happened now, actually. But it speaks to reason that these guys are fairly intertwined with the wider NFT ecosystem, and they are trying to add utility to the markets. Of course, do some more of your own research and only put forward into the minting process what you can afford to lose. Sometimes these projects are a very big speculative sort of play. You can mint them and sometimes they go to effectively zero and they're just a nice JPEG to hold. Other times, obviously like 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗏𝗡𝗚, they do incredibly well, and you can sometimes make a sort of awful lot of money. Really sort of depends on what ends up happening. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Lots of different stuff happening in the ecosystem. Make sure you enter that Source Swap giveaway. It is a huge sum to be winning. If you did like it, leave a like, drop a comment if you've got something to say. I will try and respond to as many of them as I possibly can. Until the next one, I'll catch you then. Cheers.